Well, it's been finally been cold here, you know, for a few days now, and it dipped down pretty low last night in the single digits. So everything's good and frozen out here on the property. The pond's frozen, the ground's all frozen. So we're going to take advantage of that. We're going to try to get down across the pond dam today and get back through the back fields and drive around to the back of the property where we can try to get some firewood. So we're just going to take the vehicle and a trailer and just drive around through the fields to get firewood today. So we're just gonna go ahead and get our chainsaw, get it all sharpened up, and go start cutting up some wood. So before I get started, I want to go ahead and sharpen the chainsaw up. And for Christmas, I ended up getting this all-in-one chainsaw sharpening file. So I know that Stihl, you'll see a bunch of these made by Stihl. This one is made in Germany. And I got this, this was gotten off of Amazon. But we're going to go ahead and use this today to sharpen the chainsaw. So this one, the way these work is they have the round file to sharpen the chain, and then they have a flat file to take down the rakers on the chain. And then they've got some guides in here built in so that to help you hold it in a line perfectly so when you sharpen it. So we'll go ahead and try this out today and then see how the chainsaw cuts. So we're here at the, this is the kind of the back corner of our property, and this tree here, the top has fallen out of it. So half of the top fell in the field, and the farmer that rents our land, he kind of pushed it up against the trees here, and the other half is back, it fell back into the woods. So we're gonna get that cut up today and load it in the trailer. And that chainsaw sharpener, man, it was just stupid easy. I think anybody could sharpen a chainsaw with one of them things. So hopefully it actually cuts wood well. So we'll go ahead and give it a test and start cutting some wood. So my first impression is that this is really easy to use, but using the chainsaw, it seems like it's harder to cut the wood. It just seems like it doesn't really want to just eat through the wood as fast. Even when I'm cutting a limb that's only like a 4-inch diameter, it seems like it's a lot harder to cut through even a small piece of wood like that. So I don't know if that's because it's so cold outside and the wood is frozen. It's like 10 degrees outside right now. But my first impression right now is that it isn't cutting as well. So this is what I normally use. This is a round file that's just got a guide attached to it. So I'm gonna run this across the chain a few times and touch it up with this and see if I can tell a big difference between the two sharpeners. So I've been playing around with this chainsaw sharpener for a few days now, and I wasn't real impressed with it at first. It's super easy to use, but it just didn't seem to make the chainsaw as sharp as I'd like it to be. So I've been messing around with it. I think I finally got this thing to where, you know, I know how to use it to where it'll actually make a nice sharp chain. So we'll go in the pole barn and we'll get the chainsaw out, and I'll show you what I'm doing with this to guarantee that it makes a nice sharp chainsaw blade. So to make this sharpener sharpen your chain well, it basically has two handles on each end, and you really need to use both hands. So when I was sharpening it the first time, I kind of laid it in here and I made sure it was the right angle, and then I was kind of letting these guides, it's got these built-in guides on here, I was kind of letting the guides do the work, and I was just kind of swiping it across the tooth. The problem is that round file that's in here basically wasn't down deep enough, So it was engaging the tooth higher, and it wasn't getting the right angle on the tooth when it sharpened, so it wasn't as sharp. So what you need to do is you really need to have some downward pressure while you're doing it. And then I also like to push into the tooth as well. So you're kind of pushing down at a 45-degree angle. So when you're able to put some down pressure on it while you're sharpening, it pushes that file down just a little bit farther, and it makes and then it's cutting the tooth at the right angle where it's nice and sharp. So when you sharpen with this and put down pressure, it actually causes a couple problems. One, you're not going to be able to sharpen this unless this is held tightly in a vise. So you're either going to have like a stump vise when you're out in the field to hold this while you sharpen it, or you're going to have to bring it back in the shop and put it in a vise here while you sharpen it. One of the other problems is while you're putting that down and you're pushing into that tooth with this, the chain may try to move on you. So you may have to end up locking your chain to get it to sharpen, and that ends up just being more time consuming if you're constantly locking and unlocking your chain. Other than that, since you're putting some down pressure on there, it's going to cut the tooth a lot quicker. So when you go to sharpen it, you're probably only going to do 1 or 2 swipes with this thing, and you're going to move on to the next tooth because you're pushing in with that pressure. So overall, I think this is really kind of a handy tool as long as you got your chainsaw in a vise. If your chainsaw's in a vise, this thing's stupid easy to use. Just remember to actually put some down pressure on it while you're using it, and it'll make a nice sharp chain. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put this thing in the vise. I'm just going to touch up the teeth a little bit with this real quick, and then we'll take it outside and we'll cut through some logs, and I'll show you how well it cuts. So I don't know whether that video footage showed it well or not, but the chainsaw is sharp and it's cutting really good. And this chainsaw sharpener did a good job sharpening it. As long as I can, get downward pressure while I'm using this, it does a good job. So my overall opinion on this style of sharpener is, this sharpener is probably best used when you're actually in the workshop where you can clamp that saw in a vise, and that way you can get good downward pressure and get it sharpened really well. I think when you're in the field, this makes it a lot more difficult for you to try to use it and use it well. If you do try to use it, you may not get a good sharp blade if you can't get good downward pressure. So my opinion is this does a good job. It's best suited for the workshop. So when I'm in the field, I think I'm just going to stick with a simple chainsaw file with a simple guide on it, and that's how I'll just touch up my blade in the field. And then when I really want to go over my chainsaw blade and make it nice and sharp, I'll use this in the shop. Well, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.